possible. You feel that? Feel like nose hair is freezing? This is how Santa drives. We're headed in to meet the Manships. So this is Midwest Cash Offer. So these guys procure deals for us. So we're going to say hi, catch up with them. It's been a little while, so gonna go follow up. At this point, in the way the market is and how busy I am,
right.
I wanted
the keys over to Craig.
Yeah, I want to be able to introduce this to him,
yeah.
and help him learn this. I guess I haven't necessarily given him a full rundown, but if you wanna give him the spiel, if he was brand new and was stepping in here and didn't know how this worked necessarily.
Right. Yeah, so obviously you've seen your brother's success in real estate. This is a crazy world when it comes to, and I don't mean to say crazy, but it is crazy. It's a feeding frenzy. Everyone wants to build wealth, right? Build capital. This is a quick way to do it. It's kind of recession-proof to an extent, especially the BRRRR method. Once you get people inside of a rental, start collecting the checks, right? From our process, though, you kind of know a little more than most people do. So we're gonna do the dirty work for you. We're gonna get the house for you. I'm gonna put the opportunities in front of you that make sense. So if it's Broad Ripple or Butler Tarkington, two popular neighborhoods here in Indy, anytime those come across my desk, then it's, hey Craig, CC Derek until you're fully up and running. Got this house for you. Here's kind of the specifics. What do you need from me to make this happen? If you guys want to do it sight unseen, great. I love that. Awesome. Cool. Hunky dory. If not, if you have people here on the, do you do property management or like someone that does it, or you self-manage?
Edwin does.
Okay, so you use Edwin?
Yep.
So if you need people to get through it to just kind of make sure everything's, up and it's a house, like, then we do our best to accommodate that, right? So like, for example, I just saw Aaron. You've met Aaron before, right?
Yeah.
So Aaron just walked in. Here he is, right here.
All right.
So he's going to get pictures of a house here that I have a lot of interest in. What's up, homie? How are you, sir?
Hey, yo.
What's up?
How are you?
How you doing?
How's it going? I'm Craig.
Aaron.
So basically what Brett was saying was that once they have the property and we're like, yeah, we want to move forward with it, Aaron is going out and trying to figure out what the scope of work on the property is and what the bid looks like. So that's kind of step 2. So Craig is my brother and is going to be working alongside me so that I can move this forward a little bit better and more efficiently.
You can say alongside, like in what regard?
Yeah, just working on these projects with me. So I mean, really.
Take the load off you a little bit.
Yeah. So because obviously I'm selling a lot of real estate right now, which is great, and I'm to the nines busy in Washington. So to be able to, I was telling him, I looked at one of the houses that I bought, and I had like 200 emails between the purchase, rehab, refinance, tenant plate, all of those things. But I want him to be able to jump in and understand this, at least have a base understanding of it, so that we can go through 5 to 10 deals together that we're collaborating on, and ultimately he'd be able to really take the lead on it.
Yeah.
So that I can still be present here and have. He's virtually the same person as me, just quieter. So I trust him when it comes to that. She's looking good.
Yeah. So you got a tenant in place?
Yep.
How much they?
$900 a month.
Nice.
So we bought that one for $80K.
Okay.
Put probably 10 grand in it, just floors and paint, quick flip. Yeah. And then ARV was 125. So
nice.
We bird out of it, no problem. Easy to get a tenant. Cash flows pretty well.
What's your cash flow after everything? Like $200-300?
Yeah, it's like $200.
Nice.
Yeah. That's it. That, like, for a BRRRR, like being able to go in, no tenant in there when we picked it up.
Right.
So, and it was in pretty good condition to be able to turn it around like that.
Yeah.
And I've even.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it just, that.
So your all in was $90K. So
90K.
you're meeting the 1% rule with your rent, but you also got, you bird out and.
Yep.
did well.
Yep, easy. I mean, that's the idea. Those
right.
are just really hard to find now, honestly.
Yeah, I believe me.
Had trouble finding those, but the other side of it too is that if that house were picked up for, let's say, 100,
Right.
and we put 30 into it or 40 into it,
Yeah.
okay, well now maybe we're at
Different
that
story.
175 mark or 180 mark, and yeah, it probably doesn't cash flow as well.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, we can burr out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we put a sign in the yard and make 30K. So it's not like that's impossible either.
It's a good sign to put out and make 30K.
Yeah, yeah, you know exactly. This
Yellow.
little guy.
Nice.
So this is the one that was 75K.
ARV at 150.
ARV at 150.
Woo, doggy.
So we did nothing to it. So the inside actually is in pretty good shape, believe it or not. And the tenant has paid on time since I bought the house.
There you go.
And I've had it for probably almost 2 years.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like, even worst case scenario, you're still coming out ahead.
So you didn't even, like, when he sent you that, did he tell you anything about rehab, or he just tell you, hey, it's 75,000?
There's a tenant. I knew there's a tenant in place paying, I think, 800.
Yeah.
So
like
if that was the case, someone's living there paying
Right, so it
800.
can't be that bad.
It can't be that bad.
Yeah.
Like, if I mean, the tenant's at $200 with fleas.
Right.
Obviously, that's a different story. But if you're $800 and it's a 2-1
Yeah.
in a relatively good location,
Right.
and I mean, it's the same thing. A neighborhood where you're seeing a house that gets renovated, and
Right.
2 down the road, and you're close to Broad Ripple. It's not a bad look.
As you can see, this one's pretty close. This one's
Because the relationship is the biggest piece. Because if the relationship's there and you have, I mean, the buzzword in business, synergy, right? You have synergy with someone that you're working together to achieve one goal. They want to work alongside you. But if I don't give them that information, then it's really difficult for them to be able to make my business a success. So they're shooting from the hip if that doesn't happen. So being here and having those conversations and seeing those properties not only gives them an idea, but it helps them work with me instead of us constantly, hey, do you want this? Nah, that doesn't work. Well, how about this? Nah, I'm not really looking for that. And you get into this tug of war where no one wins. But if the communication's really clear that this is what we're going to procure and this is what you're looking for, then we can make deals and we can make things happen. But that has to be on the table, obviously. There's only a certain level of trust that can be had because it's all over the phone. And does this person really have my best interest? Do we align values-wise? Because if I'm looking at a property and I have a certain type, obviously, and they find a deal and it works for them and they're gonna make their split on the deal and they're gonna make I need to know that when they're making that, it's to help me win. And like we talked about with win-win-win deals, if I have a relationship with them and I know that they're doing the right thing, then I'm happy to see them win. When we're investing in a property here, what does that win look like? So those conversations, and we're in that car and looking at those houses, what is that win? Because we don't want a win-loss situation. We don't want profit to be made here and loss to be made here. We want profit, 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 housing created for a tenant. So that's the end goal, is can we create an awesome opportunity for someone that's either gonna rent or buy that house? But you can do that without having to go win, loss, loss, win. It can be win, 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 opportunity created. So that's what we're trying to do. So for me, it was one person that I knew who knew somebody else who was investing here, and they had a Facebook group with out-of-state investors, and Evan and Clay, who we work with, were just all over that Facebook group, replying to everything, kind of the authority in that Facebook group. And it was a small community, and so I was able to connect with them and meet them. And fortunately, when we met, just from like we talked about earlier, a values perspective, those things all aligned. So meeting them was like, okay, these guys, I can trust these guys. These are people that I want to work with. And because that trust was established, then I could trust their referrals. So from there, it's not me having to go find somebody for this and go down a rabbit trail and hope that I can trust this guy. If I have a point of contact that's really trustworthy, then I can be loyal to that point of contact, but I can also trust their referrals, and their referrals are gonna perform for them because of the relationship that they have. Whether that's a contractor, whether that's a property manager, whether that's a real estate agent, anything in between, once that relationship is found and established, then the rest can stem from there. I wanna answer this in a way that's not discouraging.
Yeah.
Because capital is required, right? Because you have to have money to invest in order to make that happen. The cool thing about this market is that you don't have to have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to be able to get in the door. That's the benefit to someone that's getting started and thinking about, oh, I'm gonna go Midwest. But on the same token, that's also the same way to get into your local market. So if you're someone that's starting, I would recommend using an FHA loan and getting into your own market as an owner-occupant, because it teaches you the skills that you need in order to manage these properties. So I think for someone that's just getting started, it's not necessarily a good idea to go jump into a market that's out of state if you haven't really practiced, because it is a little bit of an acquired skill, right? So you don't want to you're not going to go play in the NBA without playing in college first. And what I mean by that is it's not a crazy jump, and it's not something that's too far out there for people, but there's lots of tools and resources to be able to get the foot in the door to get to the next place. So for example, if we were living in Tacoma, right? We're living in Tacoma, there's a duplex that comes on the market that's a little bit overpriced, and it doesn't really make sense for investors because the cash flow is not going to be very good. You can buy that with a 3.5% down loan, and maybe your payment's a little higher than you'd like initially. When we talk about 3, 4, 5 year pro forma, eventually on that 5 year, it's gonna cash flow, or maybe it cash flows in 2 years. And while it's doing that, it's going to appreciate significantly because there's a limited supply for duplexes or multifamily where we live in Tacoma. And if you can get into that as an owner occupant and build equity for a couple years, now all of a sudden you have a nest egg that you can use to go invest in another place. So it's about growing the capital first. So I think for the average person, that's a very easy, simple way to do something like that. If you're not going that route, then it's growing the capital to get there. And then we can talk about, okay, how do you grow your business to get to that point? We're ready to go there. But from just a simple standpoint, I think using an owner-occupant loan in a high appreciation market to get your feet wet. Now you own a property, you manage a property, maybe you have a tenant, you grow your equity, and from that point, you're either selling that property, you're borrowing against that property, and the exits with that property, we talked about exit strategies yesterday, being able to be nimble and be flexible. When you're an owner-occupant, you don't pay capital gains. So your exit is easy. You sell the house, whatever you've appreciated, you make that, it's in your back pocket. So then when you're looking for the next purchase, you have some flexibility, you have some cash in your pocket, and then you can look at these markets and in different places to see where it makes sense to move that capital. And sometimes if someone did have a business though, like let's say someone had a business and they have excess capital and they're trying to grow that capital, I would say it's a significantly better investment than just throwing your money into a stock that you know nothing about. So if it's a business that's fairly easy to learn, there's not a ton of barrier to knowing what's going on with a 2-bed, 1-bath house. Everyone knows what a house is, and you can see and touch and feel a house. So if you want to be an active investor and you want to make your money work for you and be hands-on in that process, then this is a super easy way to do it. So if you have a business, you're not really keen to real estate, you don't know anything about real estate, well, what's going to be quicker? Learning every type of mutual fund, stock, bond, are you gonna day trade, do all these things? There are much more complicated aspects to all of those than the complications in real estate. It's very cut and dry.
if someone's looking to grow their capital in a smart, involved way that they can understand, then something like this is a great move. The part that goes unmentioned a lot, because we're talking about growing our business and growing wealth and building cash flow and all of these things. But the coolest part about this business is that you are creating housing for people that they wouldn't otherwise have. And that's the part that's left unseen a little bit. And it's not, because it is a business, it's not considered altruistic, right? But if you really boil it down, you are taking a house that maybe isn't in great shape, that is a nuisance to the neighborhood, and you're making it nice. At least it doesn't have to be beautiful, but it's a nice, good, solid house for someone to live in. And then you're going to manage it properly so that they have a great place to live and that the neighborhood's better. We're not booting anybody, right? These are reasonable houses with reasonable rents in good neighborhoods that are providing great housing opportunities for people. And that's something that I'm proud of, and that I think other investors that are doing this should be proud of if they're not.